Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for joining us in the Aqeedah class. Today, inshallah, we will discuss the fifth pillar of Iman. We already discussed belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, belief in His angels, belief in the books of Allah, belief in the prophets of Allah, and now we're moving to belief in the Day of Judgment. Now we have articles of belief in the Day of Judgment, just like other pillars of Iman. But belief in the Day of Judgment includes major things, which are three. They are the resurrection. You have to believe in the life after death, and what will happen on the Day of Judgment. It's not only enough to believe that there will be a Day of Judgment, but what will happen there exactly. And you have to believe in paradise and hellfire. These are the articles of belief in the fifth pillar. You believe in the Day of Judgment. What will happen? What do we mean by that? We mean by that the incidents that will happen, how people will be held accountable for their deeds. The good doer will be admitted to paradise. The evil doer will be thrust in hellfire, and to believe in paradise and hellfire. These are the articles of belief in the Day of Judgment. That's why we will start with the resurrection, then we'll move forward to the incidents, what will happen, the sequence of things will happen, and then we will discuss paradise and hellfire. But before that, there are also two more things attached to these articles. We have three articles, and then we have two things attached to them. The first one is the signs of the Day of Judgment. Now you believe in the Day of Judgment, but there are things that will happen before the Day of Judgment. These are the signs of the Day of Judgment. And the other thing which will happen before the Day of Judgment. What's the thing between the signs of the Day of Judgment and the Day of Judgment? Yeah, there are events that happen before the Day of Judgment. Now before you move to the Day of Judgment, there is a station, which is death. Death and barzakh. So this is the second thing that is attached also to believe in the Day of Judgment. We have the signs and we have the barzakh. Now why don't we discuss death? Because do we have anyone who disbelieves in death?
Some limits.
What do they say?
They say people come back or they don't die.
Yeah, but they die. No, they have to admit they die. Otherwise they cannot explain what's going on.
They were trying to explain but didn't make sense.
Yeah. So we have the death and we have the signs of the final hour. So we will start with this. We will start the things that will happen before the Day of Judgment. But why we discuss it? Why it is important to believe in the Day of Judgment? Now again, if someone came and he said, I believe in Allah, I believe in the prophets of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I believe in the angels, I believe in the divine decree, but I don't believe in the Day of Resurrection. Why it is so important to believe in the Day of Resurrection? Allah mentioned several times in the Quran those who believe in Allah and the final day, the Day of Judgment. You notice it's always attached to belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why?
Because if you don't have any questioning after that, then you can do whatever you want.
Did we see the Prophet ﷺ? No, but we have signs, right? Like the Quran, we have physical things. Did we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. It is something unseen. Did you see what will happen in the hereafter? No, because there are two things that will happen later on. The belief in Allah and belief in the Day of Judgment, they are two unseen things. That's why many times they are attached. And also, if you don't believe in the Day of Judgment? It's as if you are denying belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Why? Belief in Allah necessitates, it entails belief in the Day of Judgment. What does it mean to say, I believe in Allah, but there is no resurrection? There is no judgment between the creation. There is no reward or punishment. It has no meaning if you say, I believe in Allah, but there is no Day of Judgment. It's important to believe in the Day of Judgment. Now, did Allah mention belief in the Day of Judgment in the Quran? Yes or no? Huh? Yes or no? I can't hear you. Allah never mentioned belief in the Day of Judgment in the Quran. I just mentioned that it's attached to the belief in Allah. How many times it is mentioned? Surah Al-Fatiha, where? Exactly, in Surah Al-Fatiha, Maliki Yawmiddin, Maliki Yawmiddin. Yes. Beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. Where? وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. Okay, now we have Maliki Yawmiddin and we have Al-Akhirah. How many names do we have for the Day of Judgment? Yawm ad-Din. What's the meaning of Yawm ad-Din? Recompense. Yawm al-Hisab. Do you know this term? The Day of Reckoning? وقال موسى إني عذت بربي وربكم من كل متكبر لا يؤمن بيوم الحساب. This is in Surah Ghafir. What else? The Day of Repay, يوم الجزاء. The final day, اليوم الآخر. Yes. Okay. What else? The Day of Resurrection. فهذا يوم البعث ولكنكم كنتم لا تعلمون. In Surah Al-Rum, the last ayat of Surah Al-Rum. The Day of Deprivation or the Day of Loss. What's the Arabic term for this? Yeah, khasara, it has another meaning. It will come with us in the book of transaction in fiqh, inshallah, second semester. Ghabn. What's the meaning of ghabn? Khasara, ghish. Yawm al-Taghabun. The Day of Taghabun. What's the meaning of Taghabun? We have surah called At-Taghabun. يوم يجمعكم ليوم الجمع ذلك يوم التغابن. That's the Day of Deprivation. The Day of Assembly, يوم الجمع, where all mankind are assembled in one place. The Day of Summoning. All these are names for the Day of Judgment. Do we have other names? Yes. There are. Why? Why do we have so many names for the Day of Judgment? Because it is important. Again, this is a tradition in Arabic. Whenever you have many names, to emphasize the love, the importance, the significance of this thing. So it tells you that it is real. It has several meanings. That means it is reality. It will happen. Even if you don't see it, it will happen. Why do we believe in the Day of Judgment? Someone came and told you, convince me I have to believe in the Day of Judgment. I don't believe in anything I don't see. Yes?
You have to be accountable for your deeds.
You have to be accountable for your deeds.
Yeah. Like in this world.
Why? Why?
Kind of stupid to not think that.
It's kind of stupid to not think that. Why? Don't we have freedom of choice?
Yes, but I mean, if you think you're living for no reason, then why not just do all the bad things? Why be good?
Yeah, exactly. That's what they say. They say we are living for no reason, so we'll not be held accountable for our deeds.
Then why be good, or why not go around killing people?
Yeah, that's what they do. They want to kill people. So what do you tell them? Exactly, yes. Kill them. Do you accept that I come and kill you for no reason? No one will accept that. They say, no, this is wrong. So there is something good and wrong. Who determines this is wrong and this is correct? Who will reward if you did something good? And who will punish? The entire life system that we live in. Imagine if in this country they said, you could steal any money you want. What will happen? What will happen? Imagine if they said, if you kill anyone you want, you will not be punished. What will happen? Why would people then not kill? I mean, if I'm free to do whatever I want and no one will ask me. Exactly, what you said is correct. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If it's a small country and few people, yet you have to have system. How come you have the entire universe and then you say there is no reward or punishment? What does that mean when they say there is no reward or punishment? That means if you studied hard for 8 hours every day and you played every day and you never read anything, you will get straight A's in the exam. Why would she study then? Would that make sense? If we do different things and we get the same result, would that make sense? No. It's logic. They tell you if you work 8 hours, you will get paid. If you sleep, you sit at home, you will not get paid. But if they tell you whether you work or you sleep, you'll get money, would you work? Why you work? Do you know that Iblis himself believes in the Day of Judgment? Do you know that or you don't know? قَالَ أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Iblis, the top of the disbelievers, he believes in the Day of Judgment. Because he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep him alive until the Day of Judgment. We have a physical evidence. What's the physical evidence?
The earth, the universe.
We have people who died and they were resurrected. Yes or no? Do you know any?
People that were resurrected.
They were brought back to life.
Oh,
Yes, the man in the story of the cow. Very good. Who else?
she said the story,
People of the cave.
cave.
Well, people of the cave, they lasted for 309 years.
And the story of in 7 years about
The people of Musa alayhi salam themselves, who were
dead for 2 minutes.
not few minutes, they were dead, and then ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَاكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَوْتِكُمْ. They were brought back to life.
Ibrahim alayhi salam.
Yeah, the birds. What does that tell you? If those people were brought back to life, that means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to bring them back to life. For what? What will happen if we will be resurrected? To be rewarded or punishment, to be held accountable for our own deeds. Another evidence for the Day of Judgment. Tell someone who denies the Day of Judgment, tell him, your creation, your denial is an evidence that there is a Day of Judgment. How? When you tell him how you were created. That's what Allah told the people who deny the resurrection, who deny that there will be any life after this life. You'll tell him how you were created. Allah said in the Quran, وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ. He is the one who initiated, who started this creation. And He will recreate it again, and it is easier. To Allah, it's the same. It's not difficult. For us, just like the quiz that we did. Now, how much time did you take the first time? 5, 10, whatever. Now, are you going to take the same time or less? Less. It's easier. Since you are created, it's much easier. In anything you do and you do it again and again, it will become what? Easier. Our creation itself is an evidence that there is a day of judgment. We will be resurrected. Allah told us in the Quran to look into the heavens and the earth. If you were able to manufacture very nice car with steering wheel, with seats, with engine, with everything, if they came to you and they told you, we want only a chair for a car, can't you do it? Of course, because you did everything in the car. Now they are asking you for one thing of the car. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, He is the one who created the heavens and the earth. لَخَلْقُ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ خَلْقِ النَّاسِ. The creation of heavens and earth, this sky without pillars that we see, it's greater than creating human beings. Allah gave us the example of the dry land. When there is a drought, what will happen? What will happen? If it's a dry land and the rain came, what will happen? It will grow, right? Before it was dead, and then what happened? The seed itself, is it able to grow without water? It cannot. Don't we have dry lands, dry spots, and then they became living? How this happened? The same thing with the human being. The same thing. After we decay, after we are disintegrated, what will happen? We will be resurrected again, just like what happens to the earth. The last thing, which is very important, as we said, it is justice. It doesn't make sense that we do two different things and we don't get rewarded or punished. If I know that I will get away with my murder, why don't I do it? If I know that whether I tried hard or I did not, I will get the money, why then I try hard? If we deny belief in the Day of Judgment, do we then believe in paradise or hellfire? If you deny there is a Day of Judgment, do you believe in paradise or hellfire? Of course not. You will never believe. What is for the paradise or hellfire if we will not be punished or rewarded? So it doesn't make sense. It is justice that to have a time where you will be held accountable for your own deeds. Now we are moving to the signs of the final hour. We said there is a day of resurrection. There are signs that will come before this final hour. What are they? But before that, when is the final hour? What time? You don't know? It will be on Jum'ah. What date? We know the day now. 2022? February 2022? That's one of the nuts. He said that he made some calculations and he came up with this number. What about 1999? Some people anticipated that maybe 10 years ago they said it will not turn 2000. Some people said 2010. So what do you think? When it will be exactly? We want to know. Do we have a specific time and date? Only Allah knows. Allah mentioned that several times in the Quran. يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها يسألونك عن الساعة قل إنما علمها عند الله. The Prophet ﷺ was asked about the final hour. What did he say?
The questioner.
The question has no knowledge more than the questioner.
Yes. And what have you prepared for?
Exactly. That's the question. What did you prepare for it? Why the final hour is hidden from us? Why? If I told you there is a homework, when it is due, that's what you ask always. When it is due. You don't say, oh, I have a homework so I have to do it. You ask always when it is due. 2 months. Oh, 2 months? Long time. You will wait. The same thing with human beings. Oh, I'm living for 60 years. 2 days before I die. 2 years. 2 months. I prepare. But if you don't know, then you should be always ready. The same thing. There is a great wisdom behind hiding the final hour. So no one knows the final hour but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
When you die, your time starts.
Yeah, when you die, your time starts. This is the minor final hour. We'll come to it when we talk about death, inshallah. So again, is there any possibility in any way that we could know when exactly will be the final hour? What time and date, what year? No, we will not know. So now, what are the signs of the final hour? The sun comes up from the other side. Well, we have 2 types of signs. Scholars divided the signs of the final hour to 2 types. The first type, minor signs. And the second type, major signs. We have minor and major. What do we mean by that? The minor signs are separate. One could happen 50 years ago, 400 years ago, and it doesn't mean that the final hour will start right after this sign. But it just tells you that the final hour is approaching. While the major signs, once they happen, the final hour will come very, very close after that. So 2 things, 2 differences between the minor and the major signs. The first thing, the minor signs are separated. One of them could happen 500 years ago, or they could happen back to back. While the major signs, they are in succession. This is one thing. The other thing, the minor signs means that the final hour is approaching. But it doesn't mean that it will happen soon. While the major signs, once they happen, you know that the final hour is coming very soon. These are the differences between the minor and the major signs. The minor signs, like you mentioned, the sun rising from the west. Is this minor or major? It is major. It is a major sign. So now we will not discuss it. We'll discuss only the minor signs. Could you tell me some of the minor signs? Women will outnumber men. That's correct. That's correct. That's what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. That's true. So much so that for each man there will be 50 women. He will be responsible for 50 women. What else? Now statistics, they prove that. The ratio of men and women, it's like 1:4 or 1:3 minimum. In some countries it's 1:7. Good for men.
Wives?
For wives? That's all what you think about?
No, that's more trouble.
More trouble? Wow, that's MashaAllah. Oh. More shayateen, as the other guy said. Not the wives, the mothers-in-law. Yes.
Father said adultery will be widespread, the knowledge will be lifted by the ulama.
Very good. The knowledge will be lifted by the ulama. Adultery will be widespread, and you could see nowadays. I mean, women will be clothed but naked. Many minor signs, but let's take them in order. Of these signs, things happened in the past. They already happened. Things are happening now, and things that will happen soon. They did not happen. Now, not all the minor signs happened, but they will happen. Most of them actually, they happened. Most of them, you could say 90%, they already happened. But what are they? The first one, the Messenger ﷺ with his Prophet. Sending the Prophet ﷺ is a minor sign. Why? He himself said, بُعِثْتُ أَنَا وَالسَّاعَ كَهَتَيْنِ. I was sent with the final hour like this. Look, the distance between these two fingers. Is it that much or they are close? They are very close. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. So calculate the time from the beginning of humanity until the time of the Messenger ﷺ, and then from the time of the Messenger ﷺ until the final hour. It's close. The death of the Prophet ﷺ. When he was asked about the final hour, he said, count few things. He mentioned the first one, my death. What does that mean? It is a sign. That does not mean after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, the final hour will happen right after that, because he died 1400 plus years ago. He said, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تقتتل فئتان عظيمتان من المسلمين دعواهما واحدة. The Prophet ﷺ said, the final hour will not come until two great groups of my ummah will fight each other. Yet they are on the same teaching, on the same da'wah. When did this happen? In the time of Ali radiallahu anhu, between Ali and Muawiyah radiallahu anhuma. They fought each other from the year 38 until 40, year 40. They fought each other. So this is again a miracle, and it happened after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, more than 35 years after the death of the Messenger ﷺ. The liars. 30 liars will come. And until now we have many liars who say they are prophets or they are messengers. The fire. One of the minor signs, actually there is a major sign about the fire. Do not mix it. I will mention both of them. The minor sign about the fire, the Prophet ﷺ said, there will be a fire that will light the places of, or the palaces of Busra in Syria. It will light in Al-Hijaz. And it happened in the year 646 almost, or 664. I'm not sure what year is it, but it happened in the 7th century of Hijrah. What happened? The prophetic masjid, it was burnt. The prophetic masjid of the Messenger ﷺ, the fire was so huge that people could see it far away, from far away. Thousands of miles. At their time, they had no electricity, they had nothing, but they saw that fire. The Prophet ﷺ said in one hadith, أن تلد الأمة ربتها أو ربها. The female slave will give birth to her master. How? If you are a slave, you give birth to a slave. How you are a slave but your son is a master? How could that happen?
People tell their mother what to do.
Yes, that's one of the famous interpretations, that the children will take control over their parents. And nowadays, it's very difficult to discipline your children. most of the times the mother is helpless. And usually the children are telling the parents what to do. It's a sign of disobedience to the parents. This is happening now. Another interpretation for this, when the jihad will be spread and will be common. And this happened during the time of the Khulafa, when the Islamic State was strong. There was a great jihad. And Muslims enslaved many disbelievers. When they enslaved them, and they took them as slaves, and those female slaves, if they gave birth to someone, he could be free according to the master, but she is still slave until her master dies, the original master, not her son. So this is another interpretation during the time of jihad. High buildings, another sign. It is minor sign. Skyscrapers. At the time of the Messenger ﷺ, what's the tallest building was there? They did not even have a story. Yeah, it's one story, that's it. Did they have like 5-story building or 10-story building? They never had it. Now there is a project in Kuwait. It will be finished maybe in 2013, I believe. The highest building in the world, 1 mile. 1 mile. 3 times higher than World Trade Center. 3 times. 1 mile.
The towers in front of the Kaaba also are very in Mecca.
Yeah.
New towers.
Yeah, but they are not as high as these buildings. But again, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that you will see the hufad, the ura, those people who are half naked, barefooted, yet they are building high, tall buildings. And that happened in Arabia, in Dubai, in Riyadh, Kuwait, and these places. It's happening. Dominance of ignorance. As Bazira said, tell me nowadays, how many scholars do you know? Like real scholars. How many scholars do you know? Can you list 10 of them? Can you list 10 of them? Look at the people who are giving fatwas most of the times, or who are assigned as leaders for Muslims. Are they real scholars, or they are engineers or doctors or whatever? This is a sign. This is a sign. That's ignorance. This is a sign of the Day of Judgment. Excessive killing. The Prophet ﷺ said, لن تقوم الساعة حتى يكثر الهرج. قالوا ومن الهرج يا رسول الله؟ قال القتل. Harj, قتل, killing. Excessive killing. People in thousands, hundreds of thousands are killed. How many people were killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? In 1 day. Not only in 1 day, in 1 hour. Thousands. How many people are killed every day, every single day? And for what? Now sometimes the killer himself, he doesn't even know why he killed, why he murdered that person. And the killed one, the murdered, he doesn't even know why he was murdered. So this is a sign of the Day of Judgment. The spread of adultery, again, also Bazira mentioned that. It will reach a level where people will do it openly, in the streets. That's what the Messenger ﷺ said. In the streets. And the best of them is not the one who doesn't do it, but he's the one, when he sees 2 people are doing it, he would tell them, why don't just you go behind the wall? So he's not telling them, don't do it, just go behind the wall. Women outnumbering men. Sarah mentioned that. drinking alcohol and changing its name. How many alcohol ads do you see every day? Newspapers, TV. What do they call it? Intoxications? They call it what? Beer, wine, gin, vodka. What else? Many names. Spirits, because it ruins your spirit maybe. The same thing in Arabic. But does that change the ruling of it? Does that change the reality of it? It doesn't. It is alcohol, it is intoxication, it is the mother of the major sins. Earthquakes, تكثر الزلازل. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that there will be earthquakes. And again, it is happening a lot. Marketplaces and the malls will be so much. And will be close to each other. تكثر الأسواق. How many malls do we have nowadays? Hundreds, right? It is a sign of the Day of Judgment. Now actually, do you even need to go to the mall? You have everything online. You order everything, even your food. Even your food, you order it online. This is a sign of the Day of Judgment. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned it. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تكون فتنة تدخل بيت كل عرب. Every house, although the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the house of the Arabs in particular, but every house, this fitna will enter its house. And scholars differed. What's that fitna exactly? Many of them said the money. You could never enter a house without having money in it. Some of them said it is TV. Now we could say it is the internet, dish. Again, there are lots of fitan. This is a sign of the Day of Judgment. But all these signs, are they major or minor? Minor. Why? Because they are not like happening quickly. Some of them happened 50 years, some of them are happening now. Some of them will happen later. Like the opening of Rome. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that it will be opened. He mentioned a city, half of it in the water, in the sea, and half of it on the land. It will be also opened. They are still minor, but it did not happen yet. Now, we are moving to the major signs. Major signs of the Day of Judgment. So again, we have two differences between minor and major. What's the first major sign? Al-Mahdi. Although Al-Mahdi is considered like the gate for the major signs, but he's attached to all the major signs happening afterwards. So we choose to put him in the major signs. The Prophet ﷺ said, يَكُونُ فِي أُمَّتي الْمَهْدِي إِنْ قُصِرَ عُمْرُهُ فَسَبَ سِنِينَ وَإِلَّا فَثَمَانٍ وَإِلَّا فَتِسْعٍ سِنِينَ. In my ummah, Al-Mahdi will come. If he did not live long, then he will rule for 7 years. Or 8 or 9. تَنْعُمُ أُمَّتي فِي زَمَانِهِ نَعِيمًا لَمْ يَتَنَعَّمُ مِثْلَهُ قَطْ. My ummah in his time will have prosperity. Will have a happy life that they never had before. Al-Barr wal-Fajr, the righteous and the wicked person, the disobedient. يُرْسِلُ اللَّهُ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِدْرَارًا. Allah will send the rain from the sky in showers. وَلَا تَدَّخِرُ الْأَرْضُ شَيْئًا مِنْ نَبَاتِهَا. And the earth will not save anything from its seeds, from its fruits, from anything it has. That's what the Messenger ﷺ mentioned, and this hadith is narrated by Ibn Majah. In the other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تنقضي الساعة حتى يملك رجل من أمتي من بيتي يملأ الأرض عدلا كما ملئت قبله جورا يملك 7 سنين. The final hour will not come until one of my house, of my nation, will rule. And he will fill the earth with justice as it was filled with injustice. He will rule for 7 years. This is narrated by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. And it is authentic. In the other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Mahdi minna ajla al-jabin aqna al-anf. The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Mahdi is from us, from my family, from my lineage. Ajla al-jabin, his forehead is clear, it is wide. Aqna al-anf, he has a sharp nose. So he described Al-Mahdi. Why I'm mentioning his name? Because unfortunately some people, even some of them, they have some knowledge, they said, there is no such thing called Al-Mahdi. It's just a myth. Well, actually it's true. All these hadith confirm that he will come. This hadith is narrated by Abu Dawood, Al-Hakim and Nu'aym ibn Hammad. In the other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, يَخْرُجُ فِي أُمَّتي الْمَهْدِي يَبْعَثُ اللَّهُ غِيَاثًا وَيُعْطِي الْمَالَ صِحَاحًا. Allah will send in my ummah Al-Mahdi as a rescue. يَبْعَثُهُ اللَّهُ غِيَاثًا وَيُعْطِي الْمَالَ صِحَاحًا. And he will give the money so generously that he doesn't give fractions. He doesn't give you $80, he gives you 100, full amount. He doesn't give you half, he gives you full amount. This is narrated by Imam Al-Hakim in his Mustadrak. And the other hadith, ينزل عيسى بن مريم فيقول أميرهم المهدي. Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam will come and their prince will be Al-Mahdi. He will say, come and lead us in prayer. But Isa will say, no. You are leaders on each other. This is the bounty of Allah to this ummah. This is the hadith that attaches Isa alayhi salam to Al-Mahdi. That means they will see each other. So all these ahadith prove that Al-Mahdi will come. Now some people, they say, we don't have to do anything until Al-Mahdi comes. And they are so much focused on the signs of the Day of Judgment. Oh, is he Al-Mahdi? Is he Al-Mahdi? Well, whether he is or he is not, that's not your job. Your job is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether Muslims will fix themselves, will improve themselves or not before the time of Al-Mahdi, you have to do your best. You have to strive. When Al-Mahdi comes, he will not change things automatically. There has to be people that are obedient, that will help him. That's how things are done. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was sent, he did not do everything by himself. The companions believed in him, they sacrificed, they strived. So the same thing for the people. I know some brothers, they are spending hours and days and months just collecting these ahadith and trying to see what are the descriptions of Al-Mahdi. And they think that we will be Al-Mahdi. Just like prophethood. It's not according to your qualities. It is by choice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will choose Al-Mahdi. The Prophet ﷺ said, يُوَاتُ اسْمُهُ اسْمِي وَاسْمُ أَبِيهِ اسْمَ أَبِي. His name will be like my name. So scholars said whether Ahmad or Muhammad. And his father's name will be Abdullah. He's from the family of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are narrations came, it says that he will be raised in Medina. And he will be given the pledge in Mecca, between the black stone and the corner, the right corner, the Yemeni corner, the southern corner. That's where he will be given the pledge. And there are many ahadith about Al-Mahdi. There is very nice CD collection about this topic. It was made by Yasir Qadi. It is very good CDs. You could listen to them. Especially about this topic, Al-Mahdi. It clarifies many issues. Again, as I told you, nowadays many people, they try to fit this description on some people and they say, maybe he is Al-Mahdi. It will not happen like that. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, يُصْلِحُهُ اللَّهُ فِي يَوْمٍ وَلَيْلَةٍ. Overnight, he will be fixed. How he will be fixed? Whether he is not obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he will be obedient, and he will repent, and then he will start his pursuit to become Al-Mahdi, or he's already obedient, but he was not prepared to become the leader. And overnight, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him that feeling that he is Al-Mahdi. So it will happen from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter how much you try, because some people, they are trying to give their children the name Abdullah and their grandchildren the name Muhammad, so they become Muhammad ibn Abdullah or Ahmad ibn Abdullah. It doesn't happen this way. And people will not know. Many people will not know that he is Al-Mahdi. When they will know, when an army will come from the north, from the Sham, from Damascus, from Jordan, and the earth will swallow that army. At that time, everybody will know that he is Al-Mahdi. The Shia, they have their own belief in Al-Mahdi. It's totally different. They believe that he is born. We don't know, Allahu Alam. Maybe he is born now, maybe he is not. We don't know. But the Shia say he was already born. He is the 12th Imam. They say he is in the basement in Samarra in Iraq. He's waiting. Now he is 1200 years of age. That's how old he is. And in their own belief, they say, once he will be born, before he fights the disbelievers, before he fills the earth with justice, how he will fill the earth with justice? By killing the Sunnis. He will be resurrecting Abu Bakr and Umar, and he will punish them for raping the Khilafah from Ali. That's what they say. That's what the Shia believe. Now maybe not all of them, maybe some of them are ignorant, but that's what they have in their books. That's their own belief in Al-Mahdi. So this will be the first sign. Now, again, as I told you, the thing about the major signs that they are all continuous in succession. They happen after each other, quickly. There is Al-Malahim. Al-Malahim is the second major sign of the Day of Judgment. What are Al-Malahim? Al-Malahim means the great battles. The great battles. In Sahih Muslim, the Messenger ﷺ mentioned that there will be a truce between the Muslims and the Christians. They will be fighting an enemy from the east. This enemy could be China, this enemy could be Iran, Allahu Alam, it will be from the east. Muslims and Christians together on one side, and that enemy from the east on the other side. And they will be victorious, Muslims and Christians. So they will say, one of the Christians will say, we won because of the cross. And the Muslim will say, you are lying, but we won because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they fight, and the Muslim kills the Christian, and he goes to the Muslim side. So the Christians, they ask for that man, and he will not be turned in. Muslims will refuse to give him to the Christians. So all the Christians will come. These are great crusades now. The Crusaders will come. The Prophet ﷺ said they will come in 12 groups, or 12 with 12 banners. On each banner there is 80,000. There is 80,000. So the total number of the Christian army will be almost 1 million soldiers. 960,000 soldiers. They will come to fight the Muslims. That's what will happen. These are the great battles. So the Prophet ﷺ said that the Muslims, 1/3 of them will retreat. 1/3 of the Muslim army will retreat. And this third will not be forgiven at all. Another third of the Muslim army will be martyred. And they are the best martyrs in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And 1/3 will be victor. So the Muslim army will be divided to 3 groups. 1/3 will retreat, they will never be forgiven. 1/3 will be martyred. You could imagine how horrible is this war. During that war, the Muslims will choose groups of them that they will not come back unless they kill everybody of the enemies or they are all killed. The first group will go and the entire group will be killed. The second group will go and the entire group will be killed. The third group will go and Allah will make them victorious. So you imagine how difficult is this situation. These are the great battles. Now, who's the leader will be in that battle for the Muslims? Who will be the leader? Al-Mahdi. Al-Mahdi. After the battle is over, after this horrible ordeal, this difficulty, when they want to divide the gains, the booties of war, what will happen? The shaitan will call and will say, Ad-Dajjal has came out. So they choose 10 people. 10 people. 10 heroes. The Prophet ﷺ said, by Allah, I know their names and the names of their horses. Again, this hadith in Sahih Muslim. And by the way, this is your homework. All of you have Sahih Muslim, I believe, right? If you don't have it, it is online. Go to the book of trials, Kitab al-Fitan, the book of the signs of the Day of Judgment. Read the entire chapter. This is mandatory on all of you. Read the entire chapter of the book of trials in Sahih Muslim. Okay? So, because in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that they will hang their swords on the branches of the zaytun, the olive tree. That means they are fighting with what? With swords. And they are riding horses. This implies that this technology will not be at that time. How this will happen? Allahu Alam. Now, you see how excessive is the use of oil. If it runs out, what are the alternatives? There is nothing. There are attempts for the solar energy, but most of the cars now are working according to what? Gas, oil. The same thing with planes, the same thing with everything. And what's the maximum life for oil? Less than 50 years. That's the maximum. So what will happen later? Allahu Alam. This is if everything was natural. Forget about what if hurricanes happened, natural disasters. Allahu Alam, what will happen then? So, but it will happen. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. They are riding their horses with their swords. Ashir fawaris. Those 10 people, the Prophet ﷺ said they are the best 10 heroes on the earth at that time. Best 10 knights at that time. Prophet ﷺ said, I know them, their names and the names of their horses as well. So they will go to find out that it was a lie. The Dajjal was not there. But then the second time, they will hear the same thing, that the Dajjal has come out. And at the third time, it will become true, that the Dajjal has come out. So again, we have Al-Mahdi, we have these great battles, and then the Dajjal. They are all in order and all continuous. They are happening at the same time, one after the other. In Sunan ibn Majah, the Prophet ﷺ said that before the Dajjal, there will be a difficult time. There will be a very difficult time where the rain will not come down to earth at all. The first year, 1/3 of the rain will not come. So if you get 100 gallons, you'll get only 63 gallons or 67 gallons. The second year, 2/3 of the rain will not come. And on the third year, there will be no rain at all. And it will be a very difficult time. This is in Sunan ibn Majah. The hadith is not authentic, but it could be true. And it is before the time of the Dajjal. Maybe this is the reason why the Dajjal is a great fitna. Because everybody will be subject to this fitna, the fitna of the Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ said, the greatest fitna that Allah created in earth is what? Ad-Dajjal. Ad-Dajjal. And with this, inshallah, we will conclude the session. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.